So then the other type of instruction that I looked at for this study was facilitation. Facilitation is a teaching method that's characterized by student-led instruction in all aspects of their own learning. So rather than having the teacher direct instruct, stand in front and lecture, the students actually lead the discussion, and the instructor acts more as a facilitator and prompts discussion rather than feeding them the information. The two methods were evaluated in reference to their ability to either enhance or impede the student's ability to identify their own moral code in order to gain a greater understanding of the conceptual nature of the morally ambiguous material that we were looking at. So next method, the participants were 20 high school students ranging from grades 10 through 12. It was a creative writing course at Archbishop Spalding High School, which is a small private Catholic school. Socioeconomic and ethnic background were all predominantly the same. Approximately 95% of the students were Caucasian, upper middle class, and Christian. Unfortunately, because of time constraints, I wasn't able to do more of a demographic of the students because you have to secure permission from the parents. So it just kind of would have added that in had I had more time. So students were given a preliminary morality survey, which gave them the option of choosing a number from 1 to 3. 1 was strongly agree, 2 sometimes agree, and 3 was never agree to a series of statements that regarded different moral questions and dilemmas. After the preliminary survey, students were shown the movie La Haine, which is a French film that involves a good deal of serious material, morally questionable situations with authority figures. During the movie, instructors facilitated discussion regarding the movie by asking questions and prompting discussion. After viewing the movie, students were given a post-survey, which was a short response questionnaire asking if their opinions had changed in any way due to the movie, viewing the movie, and then discussing the movie. The subsequent lesson was on Flannery O'Connor's short story, A Good Man is Hard to Find, where teaching was more structured and involved guided questions, modeling of the creation of a short story, and independent practice where students wrote their own short stories addressing moral dilemmas from their own personal perspectives. They placed themselves as characters in the story. As a lead-in, students were asked to write in short response format the answers to questions regarding moral situations in relation to the story. They were asked basically, what is good? What is your definition of good? Is it a socially accepted thing, or is it something that you decide yourself? While the story was read, instructors stopped the class to ask specific guided questions regarding moral issues in the story. And after it was finished, students were again given the morality survey, the same one that they were given before let-in, to complete in order to ascertain if there was any change in their responses to the same morally difficult questions. Responses were recorded and compared in a graph, which clearly demonstrated a difference in opinion after the direct instruction lesson. So this is the initial survey. This is the one they took before let-in. And as you can see, the overwhelming majority of students chose response 2, which was the sometimes agree. So a lot of them were sort of in the middle. They weren't definitely agreeing with the statements, and they weren't definitely disagreeing with them. They were very much kind of in the middle and unsure. Whereas after the direct instruction lesson on Flannery O'Connor, you see response 1 and 3 was chosen overwhelmingly over response 2, meaning they either were polarized, definitely for or definitely against the moral questions, and they were given the exact same questions. So it's a pretty clear indication that they had a better understanding of their own moral code, and so therefore were able to understand the material in a more clear manner. Since it was a creative writing course, students weren't assessed in a formal way as far as summative assessments. They're more given written assignments. And in addition, coming in the classroom so late in the year, again, limited the methods of evaluation that I had available. So if you guys have any questions, just let me know.
So on the first graph, that was for the facilitated instruction?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then the second graph is
For
from
direct instruction, yes. So
This is facilitated.
yeah, this is the facilitated. So as you can see, the red bars are the response to, which is the sometimes agree. And you can see they're chosen, they were given 20 questions. And they were chosen overwhelmingly more than response 1 or 3. Whereas after the direct instruction lesson, 1 and 3 were chosen much more over 2. So to me, that clearly indicates that they have a better understanding of what their own moral code is and how they would respond to situations, whereas before they were very in the middle. They were like, sometimes it agrees, sometimes it doesn't. So, the next slide. In conclusion, basically the findings of the study, direct instruction was found to be more effective in helping the students to both identify their own moral code as well as to understand conceptually the material which contain moral dilemmas.
Do you think that could be because when a teacher directly instructs a student, sometimes because we're in that authoritative position, what we say they take as that's what's right, and that sways their opinion, whereas when they're being facilitated, they have more of their own input, or is that not part of that conclusion?
I could see that as a possibility for the findings, because it's definitely true that when you're participating in direct instruction, the instructor is more of an authority figure.
Right.
They're definitely giving, more of, I wouldn't say they're giving the answers directly, but they're definitely leading it a lot more, whereas in facilitation, it is very much student-led. So I would think, in response to that, it's good to at least start out a lesson with direct instruction so that they have a clearer understanding of the material, since it is so ambiguous. It's so in the middle, it's not a definite yes or no answer. But definitely I think facilitation should be part of it, because they should be allowed to expand on the ideas and kind of form their own based off of, what they're reading or what they're viewing.
Do you think the fact that one was a movie and one was a written piece of literature affected it at all? Or played a part in their understanding?
Well, that's definitely a possibility. I think that, with the culture now, with the generation now, they respond a lot more readily to movies and to anything involving technology, just because of how much they're exposed to that, and for them, it's more of an entertainment thing, and they might be more readily understanding of something that they're seeing visually rather than something that they're reading and having to kind of conceptually imagine on their own. So I definitely think that could be a possibility, that there was some distinction between the two. So in the future, if I was to either modify the study or rework it, I would probably either have 2 movies or have 2 pieces of literature, or even have them write something based off of what they watched, just so that it was more of a direct comparison, because it is definitely different types of media that they are, interacting with between the two.
Thank you very much.